Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.
Unlike some countries, we do not believe that we should spend the next couple of years studying what 5G should be or how it should operate. The future has a way of inventing itself. Turning innovators loose is far preferable to expecting committees and regulators to define the future. We won't wait. The 5G build-out is going to be very infrastructure intensive, requiring massive deployment of small cells. I'm confident that the actions will lead to a cornucopia of unanticipated, innovative uses. We won't wait for the standards. We're already seeing the industry gearing up to seize this opportunity. Verizon and AT&T tell us they'll begin deploying 5G trials in 2017, and the first commercial deployments they're talking about are expected in 2020. And we're not done. If something can be connected, it will be connected. Hundreds of billions of microchips connected in products from pill bottles to plant waterers. We must reject the notion that the 5G future will be the sole providence of urban areas. The 5G revolution will touch all corners of our country. Because it means that U.S. companies will be the first out of the gate. And that is why 5G is a national priority.
Well, very, very few people pay attention at all to them. Hardly any resistance was put up against net neutrality rules, and that was a fairly big media story. Almost no one said anything about the mergers between the giant telecoms and the general complete takeover of communications. There really wasn't any resistance to the 1996 Telecommunications Act, which opened up a whole can of worms, a whole set of Pandora's boxes with the NSA and everyone else. But now they've opened up the floodgates to massive corporate control over our lives, a total surveillance system on the part of government agencies and their contractors, and the very near blanketing of the entire population.
Literally, of everyone in the world. Transportation networks and water systems. Immersive education and entertainment will come from the cloud. The driving force of the 21st century will be powerful processing, centralized in the cloud, and wirelessly connected to thin clients. The interconnected world of the future will be the result of decisions we must make today.
Audio Jungle. Audio
And by the looks of this audience, you've probably got children and grandchildren, and that's what I'm here for tonight. Because in this Defense Intelligence Agency report, and it's funny because I've spent, I don't know, the past 5 or 6 years staying up till 1 or 2 in the morning every single night, and you can attest to the fact I've probably aged 20 years in the last 5 years. I'm 52 years old, and I didn't look like this 5 years ago. But it's because what I found out is we are living in a complete nightmare. To be honest with you, you're really smart people for being here, because most people could care less about what really matters. And you know, I know Noah took 100 years to build that ark, and they thought he was a nut job, and I want to tell you something, his kids inherited the earth. So give Zonia credit, she's been in the trenches for a long time, trying to work within the confines and the parameters of a corrupt system. I don't have a lot of respect for corruption. I don't have a lot of respect for corrupt people. And the God I serve, one of my favorite moments from Jesus Christ's life is when he went into the house of God and broke out the whip. And there is a time for that. We're in that time. I don't know how many of you have children, but I will tell you that this document that was published 40 years ago, it's amazing. You did some research, Zonia, and you found this. This is a 42-year-old document from the Defense Intelligence Agency. You know, we spend billions of dollars on taxes, and we got all these people in cubicles running all these experiments and all kinds of crazy stuff. And the bottom line is they're looking at all kinds of different things, but you see all these chairs in this room. I bet most of you don't know the person across the aisle. You wouldn't know the person's name sitting next to you. Well, that's how the government works. That's how the research apparatuses work. And the bottom line is the people at the top know exactly what they want, and the scientific community is basically like a short order cook. They pay you a good wage, and you cook these results the way I want them. That's a fact. And that's what we're getting out of the scientific system now. We're getting results that they've cooked to order. And the problem is the compartmentalized research apparatus that exists in the universities, in all these institutions. The cubicles don't look over the top and talk to each other. I'm going to give you an example. I have a family member that is pursuing a PhD in genetic engineering, plant genetic engineering, and I have about 100 fruit trees at my house. I don't have a big yard, but I got them every 6 feet. And I had a question for her because she spent the past 15 years of her life in the upper echelons of education, and I said, can you please tell me why my orange trees turn yellow? Because I can't for the life of me figure it out. Now, this is a loaded question. This woman can splice genes and come up with all kinds of answers to things way down that rabbit hole, but when it comes to walking in my backyard and finding out why my orange tree is yellow, she couldn't answer the question. Folks, that's what they've done to our children. That's what they've done to maybe even some of you, if you're in government, or if you're in science, or if you're in education. Very few people understand how all this stuff fits together. It's because they're all basically on their merry-go-round. Everybody wants their day off. Everybody wants to go on vacation. Everybody wants to have a nice meal and kick back and relax with your family. That's human. It's understandable. But the problem is the people that are in charge of things know that, and they use that because they feed on our weakness. And we're being had. You know, I was at a rally at City Hall the other day, and they were praising the climate change mantra, you know, the CO2 thing, and the plant food that they say is going to bring the end of the world. Well, the reality is that's going to get us out of our cars and bring the end of the world to civilization as we know it, because they're going to use this phony paradigm into conning everybody to go along with draconian social re-engineering. That's Agenda 21. They want to get, the United States is already 95% empty. They want it at 99. Now, it's funny, I'm coming up here from Fullerton, and you see the hills in Brea Canyon. It's like, oh, you know, you never realize they're there, but you don't have to travel far to realize there's land from here to Kingdom Come. There's tons of water under the ground. But there's a plan to get rid of all of this, folks. And it's a satanic agenda. And I'm in a church. And to be honest with you, I don't know if we can get this thing up on the screen here. It doesn't seem to be performing. But at the top of this, all this stuff that's happening, there are no accidents. There isn't a thing that's happening in the legislature or in the educational system that is an accident. Everything is carefully controlled. Everything is carefully designed, and everything is going according to plan. It's unfortunate that we, in spite of our best efforts, in some cases are successful at slowing these things down. But the reality is things are marching ahead, and they're marching ahead at light speed. We are now crammed into, I believe this is Diamond Bar, and I'm seeing these new houses are building, and there's not one tree in the front yard, and there's no room for trees in the front yard. And there's no place to grow food, there's no place for your kids to play, but there's plenty of room for big screens and air conditioners and Wii's and Xboxes. And all those things are by design, folks. And by the looks of this audience, you've probably got children and grandchildren, and that's what I'm here for tonight. Because in this Defense Intelligence Agency report, and it's funny because I've spent, I don't know, the past 5 or 6 years staying up till 1 or 2 in the morning every single night, and you can attest to the fact I've probably aged 20 years in the last 5 years. I'm 52 years old, and I didn't look like this 5 years ago. But it's because what I found out is we are living in a complete nightmare, and nobody realizes it. And then when you try to bring it to the attention of the people that can make a difference, they don't want to hear it. I've been to school board meetings till the cows come home for years, trying to tell these people to stop ruining these children with this curriculum, trying to tell these people to stop ruining these children with the microwave emissions, trying to stop ruining these children, telling them they came from rocks and putting social workers in there and medicating everybody. But that's what they want. They want everybody dumbed down, and they want them all thinking they're animals so they can treat them like they're animals. That's the plan.